Prime Field family. Lock in. Because I'm about to say a name that sounds like a recruiting note, but plays like a Yukon system cheat code. Haylen Ayers. And no, this isn't the usual more top 5 kid big upside talk. This is deeper. This is about an archetype, a blueprint, the kind of guard Geno Auriemma plugs into the 2-guard spot, and suddenly the whole offense looks cleaner, calmer, deadlier. So here's the question. Is Ayers the next Yukon 2-guard that turns spacing into a weapon and rebounding into minutes? Let's break it down like we're in the film room. If you've watched modern Yukon, you know the 2-guard isn't just a scorer. It's a role that has to do everything without hijacking the flow. You have to space the floor like a specialist, move like a chess piece, rebound like a wing, and make decisions like a point guard without the ball sticking. That's the Geno 2 standard. And Haylen Ayers fits that identity in a way that isn't theoretical. She's 6'0" to 6'1". She's already built with a college-ready frame, and she plays with that coach's kid clarity, because she literally is one. Her mom, Ashley, is a former Vanderbilt and Team USA player, and you can feel that in Ayers' game. The tempo control, the patience, the read-before-react mindset. UConn doesn't recruit eventually. UConn recruits, you can play here right now if you understand the rules of the ecosystem. Ayers looks like she understands the ecosystem. Let's talk about the thing UConn quietly values more than highlight dribbles. Functional size on the perimeter. Because when March hits, everyone switches. Everyone fights over actions. Everyone forces you to play in a phone booth, and if your guards are small, you get targeted. Period. Ayers isn't a project guard you're hoping fills out later. She already has the kind of frame that can absorb contact, hold positions, and survive physical play. That matters because Geno's best lineups lately have leaned into smaller units. 3-guard looks, positionless wings, constant switching. Here's what that means. Ayers has the defensive eligibility to guard multiple positions, including situations where she's switching onto bigger wings. And because she's not tiny, she can actually finish possessions, because defense isn't just stops, it's stops plus rebounds. And one detail from the scouting notes jumps out. She's self-aware about her defense. She's talked about wanting to add a muscle to defend at a higher level. That's not fluff. That's the difference between a guard who thinks defense is a punishment and a guard who thinks defense is a pathway to closing minutes. Now let's get to what makes this Yukon 2-guard label feel real. Her game fits the concepts Yukon lives in. Geno's half-court isn't just run a set. It's read and react, spacing, timing, second-side decisions. You don't just stand in the corner and wait your turn. You move, you lift, you drift, you relocate, you punish help. And that's where Ayers' profile starts screaming translation. Her high school shooting splits show 50% from the field and 39% from 3, which already tells you she isn't just chucking. But the real marker is with what she did against elite competition. At Nike Nationals, she posted 1.026 points per possession and a 61.2% true shooting against man defense. That's not toot. She looked good in warm-ups. That's efficiency in real possessions against real bodies with real scouting. That kind of number is a translation flag because it tells you she generates quality shots within structure. And here's the key. UConn doesn't need the 2-guard to be a hero every trip. UConn needs the 2-guard to be a closeout punisher. Can you catch it, shoot it quick, and if they fly at you, can you put it on the deck and make the next pass? That's the chain reaction UConn offense is built on. Spacing becomes gravity. Gravity creates rotations. Rotations create open threes, layups, and free throws. If you're wondering why Geno loves elite shooting guards, just look at what a player like Azzi Fudd can do when she's humming. Pure spacing distortion. And the scouting projection here is obvious. Ayers' trajectory looks like she can grow into that tier of secondary shot creator, not just a stationary shooter. Okay, let's bring up the part that really earns trust in stores, the all-around game. Ayers was named Tennessee's Gatorade Player of the Year, and that award isn't just points, it's impact. And her line, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 2.3 assists, tells you the exact story UConn wants to hear. Because 20 points shows she can carry usage when needed. But 7 rebounds? For a 6-foot guard? That's a Geno eyebrow-raise number. That's the kind of thing that gets you on the floor when the staff wants to go smaller but doesn't want to lose the glass. And those 2.3 assists? In high school, where isolation ball is basically a lifestyle, that hints she's not a ball stopper. She's willing to make the simple read. And in UConn's system, that matters. Because the best possessions aren't the hardest shots. They're the possessions where the ball touches two sides and the defense shifts, and you get the clean look. Here's the truth. UConn's standard is not can you score. It's can you do the stuff that wins you the possession battle. Rebounding, defense, decision-making. Ayers checks those boxes in a way that translates directly to trust. I need you to hear this clearly, because casual fans miss it. Perimeter rebounding is how you steal minutes at UConn. When Geno plays three-guard lineups, it's not just about offense. It's about whether those guards can survive physically and finish defensive possessions. Can you switch and hold? Can you box out? Can you grab the ball and end the play? Ayers' 7 rebounds per game doesn't just mean she likes to rebound. It means she has the instincts to find bodies, pursue the ball, and treat rebounds like a job, especially from the wing. And that's why the scouting brief calls her a potential stabilizer. Because think about what happens when you have a big guard who rebounds. You can play smaller without playing soft. You can keep your shooters on the floor without hemorrhaging second chances. You can win the margin game. That's how championship rotations are built. Not just with stars, but with players who allow the stars to stay in their best roles. Now, every scouting report worth anything has to include the tension. Here it is. Can she defend without fouling? Because Geno's trust threshold on perimeter defense is, let's call it ruthless. You can score 12, but if you're late on a rotation, reaching or picking up cheap fouls, you're sitting, and you're learning the hard way. Ayers plays with effort and instinct. That's good until it becomes over-aggression. College pace is different. Screens are sharper. Ball handlers are stronger. The whistle changes your whole rhythm. But here's why the optimism feels justified. That coach's kid mentality usually comes with adjustability. When you've been around high-level basketball your whole life, you tend to absorb teaching faster. You don't take correction personally, you take it like information. And positionally, she's the kind of player Geno loves because she can be a true 2 or a 2/3 combo depending on roster construction. That flexibility is gold in a program that lives on matchup chess. So what are we really saying here? We're saying Ayers isn't just another great recruit. She's a roster stabilizer, a big guard who can shoot, punish closeouts, rebound like a wing, and function inside a read and react offense without needing to dominate the ball. And that last part is crucial. She doesn't project as a usage-hungry player who needs 20 shots to feel involved. She projects as the kind of player who makes the whole unit better, because the ball keeps moving, the spacing holds, and the second side stays dangerous. So that's the Yukon archetype. Long, efficient, accountable. Which brings us to the big picture recruiting question. If Ayers commits, is it proof that Geno still has the cleanest pathway to elite perimeter fits? Or is the 2027 guard market so deep that even UConn has to fight possession by possession for the premium options? Prime field, here's the takeaway. Haylen Ayers looks like a UConn 2 guard in advance. Not just because she's ranked high, but because her profile matches what UConn actually rewards. Size, shot-making gravity, rebounding from the perimeter, and read and react decision-making. Now I want to hear from you. What matters more for UConn's next great 2 guard, elite shooting or elite defensive trust? And if Ayers is on the board, do you see her as a pure Tater 2 or a future 2/3 weapon in those smaller closing lineups? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want the next breakdown, same energy, deeper tape logic, hit that subscribe. Prime Field is locked in.